In this video, we get to tour a gorgeous DIY Ford Transit build. Alyssa built it out with her dad as a pandemic project, and it turned out stunning. This van features a front wall with mirrored pocket door, a farmhouse-style sink, opposing bench seats and pull-out table to make up a dedicated workspace, and an elevated platform bed.
Hi, my name is Alyssa, and this is my self-built transit van named SaVANnah. Welcome in. Let's have a tour. SaVANnah is a 2019 Ford Transit. It's the high roof, and it's the 148 wheelbase. I bought it in early 2020 and built it out with my dad. It took us 9 months, and it was a really great quarantine project. Over here, we have all of my kitchens set up. We cut them piece by piece to fit the curvature of the transit van. That was a little tricky, but it was just some trial and error getting the curvature with the cardboard starter pieces that we had. But I think they turned out really well, and they fit a lot. As you can see, I like coffee and tea. So it's got a really nice large amount of storage in here with some baskets to keep things organized. And we went cheap with some of the hardware. I went a little fancy with some of it and a little cheap with some of it. So these are just little leather poles that we created out of scrap leather. We also have a butcher block. This was a 8-foot. I think they come in 8-foot pieces. So we have 5 feet here, I believe. And then the other piece we cut for my desk and additional countertop space, which is really handy for me because I work. This is also my home office, so I'll kind of show you that setup as well. We have a little farmhouse sink, which is actually a bathroom sink. We just undermount it like you would a farmhouse sink to kind of give it that look. And it actually ended up being a lot cheaper than a lot of the, standard RV sinks. I think it was like 50, 60 bucks or something like that. And I really like it a lot. It kind of helps with this is a tiny home feel versus an RV, which I really love. I also have this water purifier. It's pretty straightforward. I just pull the water from here and fill it up, and it's got a filter in there, so I have my little drinking water right there. Pretty easy setup, and I do have it on a little Velcro because everyone's first question is, how does that stay? So it did stay for a little while, but I had one big wet crash with it, so now it has a strong Velcro on it, which it works great, hasn't moved since. The rest of the kitchen storage is down here. We have a self-built vertical cabinet, I guess you would say. So we have like a little spice up here, and then a whole bunch of pantry stuff that we just built on slides on this side. It was kind of an awkward space with the tiny fridge, so just trying to maximize every inch that you can, which is really helpful when you build it yourself. You can do weird stuff like that with weird measurements. This is a Dometic fridge. I think it's the CRX65. It's pretty small. The rest of the kitchen storage, like my utensils and pots and pans, I didn't want to have them up high just because of the weight and seemed scary. So I made these drawers down here, splitting them up into like a really narrow drawer for skinny stuff like my silverware, my little plates, and things like that. And here for all my bigger, heavier things, I just have this one pan and one pot, which is plenty for me, more than what I need. So I have all of my water storage here under the sink. I wanted it to be pretty close by. I didn't want to have the pieces that I took out, so what I did was put them in a drawer. You can kind of see I've got it strapped in right now. So whenever I refill, this is a 14-gallon freshwater tank here, and I actually have a 7-gallon gray in the back. They stay tucked in here, and then I pull this drawer out whenever I'm ready to fill. Maybe like 2 weeks can go with 14 gallons depending on how much I'm using it or anything. It's mostly just for drinking water, washing dishes, washing self. It's pretty straightforward. Once you open it up, it's got a big wide mouth, so you can just fill it up. I do have some tanks that I keep extra water in the back just to kind of never run out. And those are a lot easier to take in if I feel like I want to just go to Walmart and pay for the spring water. If I'm not finding anything locally, then it's really easy to just roll them in there and do that. Now I have kind of my home office set up, which starts with, you know, my seat here and my giant desktop, which is important to me because I do photography work as well as websites. So this swivels down to about here. I can pull it a little closer if I want. And then I have my computer stuff in here, my keyboard and everything. I just pull out my extra countertop here, and I just kind of have my home office set up. It's really nice and cozy. So I really love it. It works great for me. And this also kind of doubles as extra counter space. So I'll pull out this a lot of times when I'm cooking or cleaning my dishes and just have extra space to kind of spread out. But it's nice because then I can just tuck it away and have the open floor space as well.
It's beautiful.
For following me and my travels, you can find me on Instagram at @home.onearth, and that features my travel photography. I am a photographer, so I have been getting into some film photography, some sort of outdoor photography, backpacking, just showing the beautiful places that I'm able to visit with this lifestyle. So that is one thing that I'd start to like doing more for work. So I actually am starting to work with brands and doing some outdoor brand photography and other influencers as well. Just started working with some van life influencers. So if you need photography, you can find me at Home on Earth. And my current business, because I do support myself fully with my own business working on the road, that is Alyssa Renee Made, and that is my design business, which focuses mostly on photographers and other wedding industry creatives and helping them build their best brand and show it to the world with both graphic design branding and with their websites as well. So I am a brand and website designer, and that is my full-time business, and photography is my fun business on the side. Another thing that was important for me is to stay organized. So I felt the best way for me to do that was to have drawers, and I hadn't really seen a lot of people intentionally build in a lot of drawers, and I really like it, for me at least. I kind of have everything, well, they're all magnets so that everything stays put, because this is kind of the direction that you're braking or gassing or whatever. So you want to make sure anything in this direction has a support to not fly out. But yeah, I have all of my goods here, more fun things and office things here, electronics, and then the next two are all clothes. I was sort of more on a budget. I didn't have the budget for the $1,000 composting toilet, so I have a Cassette toilet. It's a Dometic, and I put it in this drawer down here. So it's in the drawer with my recycling and trash. Keeps things pretty simple. This is where I have all my floor space. It was a little tight in my hallway, so it was a perfect spot to have it underneath the bench in there. I built this in Houston, where it's really, really humid. And as soon as I got out on the road, where every place is pretty much drier than Houston, I got some warping. So that was definitely a problem that I came across after the build was finished and everything was perfect, and we ran into some problems there. So just be aware. It doesn't really matter for me on this particular wood, but I'll show you it did really matter for my front wall. So if you have important areas like that, maybe buy one nicer piece of wood so you don't have a less likely chance of things warping and causing issues. So I didn't have a lot of working space here to do an outdoor table, since I did a bench instead of a full countertop, but I do have a little outdoor table here that's just held up with a little hook and a chain. So I just open that up put the chain back up, and then it's a perfect fit for my little camper stove. So I can chop up stuff and then put my chopping board and then put my cooktop up and have a little outdoor table if I want. Love it. I wanted to have a front wall for a couple of reasons. One, it's really helpful for temperature regulation. So with all the windows in the front, it gets really hot or really cold up there. And this makes a massive difference in keeping things a little bit more regulated inside. So I usually will have this door closed if I'm in here hanging out and working. It's kind of a security thing too. It's more of like a mental security thing. You feel safer, you feel closed in, you feel more like you're at home. So I really like it for that reason. You know, I when I close this off, I don't feel like I'm in a vehicle anymore. I feel like I'm in my own little tiny home. So I really do love it. Even though this was part of what I was talking about has caused me some problems, this has pulled away because it's curving in. So it has caused a little bit, you can even see a little here where it curves in and starts to make it difficult for my door to close. So this might be a fix when I go home for Christmas to get a nicer quality piece of wood to put here, because it is important in the structure and the, you know, making sure everything works. But the door itself, it works pretty great. We just put it on drawer slides. We just had like a 12-pack of, or more than that probably, of drawer slides, and we had it on 4 vertical slides, and it works really great. So that was a lot cheaper, and you know, I could maximize my space versus using, you know, the slides that are on the top or the bottom or something like that. So that was a nice, cheap, easy way to do that, because I did spend some money on the mirror itself. We just cut the door to size and then took it to a glass company. And I also cut the framing pieces and they installed it all together. So all we had to do was bring it back, put it on the slides, and everything was good.
Oh, cool.
Now I'm up here on my elevated bed. I also really was in favor of this layout because I wasn't a huge fan of wanting to or having to switch out between different modes. So I love just rolling out of bed and going, personally. That's just me. Mm-hmm. So we definitely wanted to maximize the width here. So we kind of created essentially what would be similar to window boxes. It was a little hard for me to wrap my brain around at first, but we just framed out these sections and even went with the curvature of the area that's there to really try to go as wide as possible with these. The inches were worth it because I can lay widthwise. I'm 5'7", so my toes will touch a little bit, but I kind of like the feeling now. It kind of feels cozy to me. So if I really want to sprawl out, I can lay diagonal. It's almost a full-size bed. So as with everything else in my build, totally custom size to just really kind of maximize every inch that I could. So we have a little bit more storage up here. So these are some more fabric baskets in these open shelves. Pretty straightforward. I tried to go lighter, so I have sweaters and sort of lighter t-shirts and things like that. Like my non-workout clothes go up here. So we've got all that storage up here. I have plenty of storage. And then I kind of wanted to have some fun open storage for my fake plant. Don't have enough faith in myself yet to have a real plant, but yeah, I have some things that I use pretty regularly, and you know, some fun things like my candle. I actually really love, I don't know if anyone has seen these tissue boxes before, but they're round, so they fit in your cup holder, which is really great. And obviously they don't take up as much space in my open storage either, so Target. Another kind of fun little random thing I made with my scrap wood. It has some missing right now, but it's a little earring holder. So I just drilled tiny holes in there, and I kind of have a little place for some earrings. That's kind of fun up here. Yeah.
Cute. I love it.
Thank you. Okay, so I wanted to kind of mention my ceiling a little bit because I do feel like it's kind of unique in the way that we did it. One, this is true of my walls as well. I was a little crazy about maximizing my space, so I used 1/4-inch plywood on all of my walls. One, it works a lot better with the curvature. Since it's thinner, it's more flexible. It could kind of mold to the shape of the van. And we did the same with the ceiling as well. So normally when people put up the ceiling, you know, there's the cross ribs that go up, and they put the wood supporting pieces, they drill them in to the ribs on the exterior. What we did, because again, I was a little crazy about maximizing my space, I wanted to be able to sit up comfortably in bed and everything. So we put the supporting wood pieces inside the ribs and then had them screwed in with a little washer so that when we put up our plywood, it would be directly against the ribs, drilled into the wood inside the ribs. So that gave us another 1/2 inch of height, if not more. So then I was able to put up my little decorative pieces and still have plenty of headspace.
Did you strip those yourself, or are those pieces that you purchased?
I stripped them myself because it was cheaper to do it that way.
Okay.
So yeah, we got a slightly nicer piece of plywood just for fun, and stained it a little bit with a light coat of stain and stripped them all into the little strips. Those are just nailed up, actually.
Okay.
So the underlying, you can see every now and then when it didn't line up perfectly that those are screwed in and supported, but all the other screws are kind of covered with the decorative pieces to kind of keep it like a clean, pretty look.
Really smart. Had you had any experience building anything?
You know, I'm kind of crafty. I did a lot of DIYing. I actually worked for a startup that was in the DIY space, so I've always been kind of creative and crafty. I always wanted to learn how to be, you know, more proficient in woodworking, so definitely learned a lot there. My dad is a retired mechanical engineer, so he had the know-how. He's a figure-it-out guy, which was really great. I give him full credit for my electrical setup because that is not my space. So if you don't have a mechanical engineer for a dad, I would definitely say that would be something worthy of hiring out for, because I had almost no hand in it except for helping to wire wherever he said the wires should go.
Nice.
So yeah.
And so tell us about your solar, what you have.
Yeah, so I have probably a little bit bulkier solar setup than most people might need. There was a really great spreadsheet out there. It was really helpful because we had to calculate, particularly for my desktop, because that was going to be my biggest pull of power. You know, especially if I had a day where I needed to work all day and I wanted to particularly work on my desktop versus taking my laptop into a library or a coffee shop, especially if that day was a cloudy day. So I have 500-watt solar on top, which pretty much takes up the whole available roof of the Transit, since the Transit roof curves so much towards the front. With the exception of having the fan here. So the fan is here, and then there's a solar panel here and 3 right here. Nice. So kind of a lot, but
and how about batteries?
I have 2 100 amp hour lithium batteries. Those are Battle-Born, and they've been really great so far. Another fun thing that I was like, if I can make this work, it'll totally be worth it. And that's my hammock chair. So I just have this hanging hammock chair that I can kind of gather together and then store in the front when I want to put it away. And we kept one of the tie downs that comes standard in the Transit. You know, they're the floor bolts, and we bolted it into one of the cross ribs. So it is really nice and sturdy. It's going to hold me for sure, and people heavier than me too, I'm sure. but I just hook it up here and knock my hats down all the time. And then I have a hammock chair that I could sit in to look outside, or I can swivel it around and like have an extra seat on the inside as well. I think this one's really fun too because it's got a little cup holder right here, or a little, you know, book pocket, whatever it is. So I like to pop this up and have my morning coffee, have a little journal, stuff like that. It's really, really worth it. Okay, so here to show you my garage and how much space I have. So pulling open the door, I also, you know, if I can't actually be organized, I love to kind of look organized. So what I did here was put a little curtain rod across with, you can't really see, but they're the little rings that have a clip on them. And I cut my old shower curtain in half. So I have a little bed curtain that opens across so I can access everything inside, which, as you can see, is a ton of space. I've got, this is actually my only source of heat in the winter. I don't have a heater installed, but I do have the larger Mr. Buddy heater, which got me through 0 degree, a surprise 0 degree evening last year. So
imagine that
so
heats your van
so
up in about 5
It
minutes.
does, yeah, it's so big, and it takes 2 bottles. So you can have 2 bottles in there that kind of last a pretty good amount of time. And yeah, you just turn it on for a little bit, it heats up, and then wait until you're shivering again and turn it back on. One of those things about building your own van is that, you know, you start to put walls up and then you just sit in there and you kind of think about stuff. Like, I have an idea, this might be cool. So one of those things, which I do use every now and then, but not as much as I thought I might, is my little step right here. This is just, you know, a 2x4 shoved all the way back into this rib here and turned into a little step. So I can, if I want, just hop up like that. And then I can hop down as well. So with my doors closed, I am able to kind of shimmy down in this gap that's between here and the doors and step down and open my back doors. Just another kind of safety precaution. If someone were ever to be knocking or breaking in or something, I could also get out the back versus only being able to get out where someone might be trying to get in. Another nifty storage thing, it's kind of unused space here in these transit doors, especially because they kind of curve in. It's some unused space. So I found these were on Amazon. They're not the long version. There were 2 short versions. So we just put in a support here, screwed in, and let these hang. I think we also screwed it into the bottom so they don't flop around, but as you can see, I can bring along a lot of shoes, or you can use it for other storage for things like my hammock and stuff like that. Came in really handy. I also love having privacy, but love having light. So this is perfect because, you know, it's private all the time, but it lets in the most amount of light without being completely sheer. So we've installed these little curtain rods with my half shower curtain, and here you can see my window covers that we made. It is possible to make them, but I would say it was one of my least favorite things that we had to make.
Me too.
It's harder than it looks, folks. So we did use leftover Thinsulate in here from what we used in my ceiling and everything. So it is pretty great in terms of insulation as well. I just fold these down in the day since this is about my bed height anyways. And then I fold them up at night and have complete darkness. I would say any other advice I have for a woman who's looking to build her own build, one actual super helpful tip that I found was a great resource for me when I was building. I stumbled upon faroutride.com's website, which led me to their Facebook page, which was an incredible resource for asking questions. You can also search in the group for something like insulation, where you know they will have covered that in many posts, and kind of go through the wealth of knowledge that people have shared there, or ask whatever question you're looking to ask. And there's so many people on there that are willing to help. That really came in handy for me as a first-time van builder, for sure. And just general advice for if you're thinking about the lifestyle, I would say do it. Even if it's just for a little while, even if you just want to try it out. I mean, do whatever truly feels right for you. Trust your intuition. I think that will lead you in the best direction, because there is a lot of advice out there and a lot of information, which is great, but can be overwhelming and kind of confusing. So for me, like I said, having a little bit longer of a build period, I think was really healthy for me, because then I really could consider and give myself time to think about what would be best for me personally, versus, you know, there was a point in time where I just had to stop watching YouTube videos. There's a time where you just have to stop all that and just go forward with your plan. And if you're anything like me, you'll be happy with what you've decided for yourself. So best of luck. You can do it. You will find help if you need it. And I would say just be prepared for things to go wrong, just as anything does in life. There are always going to be people there to help you, and it will all be okay.
I want to thank Alyssa for sharing her awesome van with us. She shared so many great ideas and helpful tips. If you loved this video, please share it. And if you'd like to see more van and rig tours, van life tips, and other videos to help women get on the road, hit subscribe and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos. I appreciate your thoughtful comments, and if you'd like to join in deeper conversation, I invite you to join our Facebook group, Gal Adventurers. This is Joni with the Galavan. Enjoy your journey.